Are you a Texans fan?
No.
Do you like any NFL teams?
No.
Are you a disgruntled Oilers fan like I am?
Yes. Yeah. And the NFL died for me on a cold winter day in Buffalo in 1993.
It kind of died for me then too. Other than the selfishness of fantasy and Longhorn players.
I mean, I cheered for them still in the game against the Chiefs the following year, and that was just kind of the last indignity. Montana sticking the knife in us.
Oh, one of the Cash brothers had was it a game-winning touchdown?
I don't know, but they beat us just by a score. Good. So ooh. I used to live in D.C. and I love the history of the team there and what it means to the community, especially the black community there. So I love D.C. When the Redskins are winning in the fall, D.C. is one of the great places to be in America.
When were you in D.C. when they were good?
95. Okay. I remember the Oilers played them in 95, and I feel like both teams were off to like a 9-0 start or something like that. The mid-90s, the Redskins were good. Briefly.
Speaking of the old school Oilers, did you see that Warren Moon, whose number has been retired by the Tennessee Titans because he played such great football in Nashville, but Warren Moon's number is retired, I guess, by Tennessee, an homage to the old school Oilers days. But Cam Ward has worn number 1 for a long time, and Warren said he might be okay with Cam Ward wearing his number 1.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I feel like that's happened before, that a retired player has given his blessing to somebody. I think it's probably something significant.
If my number was retired, I'd wait and see. It's like
sell it to the highest bidder. There are all those stories of guys getting traded and having to pay the other player for the use of the number. Either something kind of like funny, like a dinner, or $500,000.
Yeah. Talk to me after you've gone, gotten the team to the playoffs, and then maybe.
What would your number be if you were a professional athlete?
I mean, I liked 23 before because of Sandberg. Ryan Sandberg, not Jordan. I don't know.
There are so many ATM pins that have the number 23 in it in Chicago just based on Ryan Sandberg and MJ.
Yep.
Yeah. 23, 34, but I never had good numbers. I was always like 45.
Who was 34?
Nolan Ryan.
Oh.
I know my sister used 34 in her email password for a while because of, Houston, Earl Campbell, Akeem Olajuwon, and Nolan Ryan. There's a pretty sweet, I got her a sweet shirt for Christmas one year, even though she doesn't really wear t-shirts. And it's like a block square of the color of the jersey with the number, the way it would look on the jersey, just 34, 34, 34.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I like 27.
Why 27?
Well, I was born on March 27th. Was it?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It's the 27 Club, right?
I was...
Kurt Cobain, Janis Joplin,
I was born on the 27th at 3/27.
Okay.
And now Altuve is 27. 27 has just always been my lucky number, so when all of a sudden the best Astros player of all time started wearing it, that was...
And you're the same size.
Yeah, I'm only 5 inches taller than he.
How's he doing this year in left field, by the way?
He's kind of bounced around a little bit. It's kind of a circus, but and he's played a little bit of second base. He's DH'd, I think, once. He's batting 300. He's doing great. I don't think he almost cost us a couple runs in the very first game of the year, and it would have been a very ominous way to begin the year. But he made the catch. I think the idea is that Jake Myers is so good in center field that he'll make up for any shortcomings, no pun intended, in left field. And then, we have a true rookie in right field, Cam Smith, who only played 32 games in minor league baseball before making it to the big leagues, which is close to a record. So it's a bit shaky in the outfield for the Astros from time to time, but Jake Myers is one of the best outfielders the Astros have ever had defensively.
As a kid, my favorite numbers included number 5 and 7 for Bagwell and Biggio, 21 for Ruben Sierra. But as an adult...
wait, you're one of these Astros Rangers hybrid fans?
Oklahoma City 89er great, Ruben Sierra.
What was weird as a kid, when we were kids, the Astros and Rangers never played one another.
Right.
Like this rivalry between these two cities, it's existed to some degree, but in the sports realm, it hasn't really been a thing until the last 15 to 20 years.
The Rangers sucked the whole 80s.
Terrible, but I went to more Astros
and the 90s
and Rangers games. I went to more of both than any other sport by far. Like I went to a decent number of Mavs games as a kid, but as an adult, if I had to pick a number that is going on a jersey for a sport that I'm playing, it would be number 11. And I don't have a good sports reason as to why. I just like the number 11.
Big Phil Simms guy.
Big Phil Simms guy, yeah.
Said nobody ever.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. Even Chris Simms is like, yeah, he was okay.
He's all right. Boy, he is one of the worst commentators to listen to on air. That's for certain.
He's awful. I mean, there are a lot of them too. There are a lot of bad former players.
Reggie Miller. Reggie Miller brings absolutely nothing to an NBA broadcast.
Reggie Miller is like that. There are good ones too. I like who's the former cornerback? He played for the Broncos. He actually got in some legal trouble, I want to say, in the last couple of years. Talib.
Oh yeah.
Former Kansas State defensive back.
Yeah.
He was very raw when he started, but I also like the sheer honesty of everything.
CBS.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That was making me. I thought of Barkley, and then I thought the other day, so my friend asked me if I wanted to play golf the other day at, we'll call it Lost Creek, Westlake Country Club. Said nobody ever.
Wait, when did that happen? When did that rebrand
2 years
happen?
ago, 3 years ago, I think.
When they changed membership entry rates from $2,500 to $90,000.
I've played it a few times post. They did some nice things. I think they brought Lanny Watkins in to do some of the course redesign.
It's not as hard as it used. It's not as goofy as it used to be.
Yeah, no, it got cleaned up a little bit.
So my buddy was like, "You want to play at Lost Creek?" And it was a Wednesday, and I don't play golf during the week. And so I said, "No, thank you." And he was playing with one of his buddies, so I knew that they were going to get paired up with another guy or two. And he texted me from the course, and he's like, one of the guys we got paired up with was Jamal Charles. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Who apparently you said he's really into golf these days?
I was playing with some friends out at Great Hills last season, and Jamal was working with a coach out there, and we were just talking golf. He's really kind of gotten into the sport, and I want to say that he was even working on. Oh no! I think he was working with he's got some business plans, business ideas that he's working on. Some VC startup stuff, I think. So,
okay.
Got to get your game in shape if you're going to be raising money.
I remember I played with my godfather when I moved to town 25 years ago, and I was trying to decide between law school and business school. I told you this, right?
No.
And we played around out at Barton Creek, and I played really well. I don't know, like shot 82 or something.
Whoa.
And he was impressed with it, and he was telling me afterwards that he really thought I should consider going to business school because I was so good at golf. And because so much business takes place on the golf course, and it doesn't really benefit a lawyer to be good at golf at all, I decided instead to not make money. But yeah, Jamal Charles, highest average per rush in the history of the NFL? Is that right?
Just an incredible back.
Insanely good running back as a collegiate, as a pro, and a really nice guy too. Like, I had a limited experience with him when I was endorsing and working out at Onnit Academy. He was going through off-season training there, trying to stay relevant if the league came calling. I don't think they ever called again, but he was busting his ass when I was there, but I would like joke around, just like throw little comments or jokes at him, and he was always receptive to it. So he's a guy who's come back to Austin. He's obviously a big part of the community now. I want to say he even got his degree from UT a couple of years ago too.
That's awesome.
So yeah, he's one of those guys that all these years later you're very proud to call a Longhorn. Like, Oklahoma has plenty of those guys. We have guys on both sides, by the way, that we're like, maybe tone it down just a little bit there. But Jamal Charles is one of the good dudes out there. So is Jahdae Barron, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Who I can't wait to see where he ends up in the NFL draft tonight. 3 Longhorns supposed to go in the first round. There's obviously a lot of intrigue surrounding the quarterbacks as well. But whoever is getting Jahdae Barron is getting a stud of a human being to go along with a pretty darn good football player.
Where is he mocked? Where is he in the mock draft right
I've seen him anywhere from like
20s?
Around 10 all the way into the 20s. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah,
I sat next to his family at a few games this past year in the friends and family section. Super nice crew. His brother, I guess, played back in the day at Conley as well. Really great family, so stoked for them. Running into Jamal Charles got me thinking, if you could run into an athlete on the golf course, or if you could run into 3, who would you want to, what former or current athlete would you want to play in a foursome with?
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Does Bill Murray count?
No, but you could just throw him in there. Bill Murray and then 2 athletes. That would kind of warp it. Stick with athletes.
Have Bill Murray caddy.
Yeah, drive the cart.
Fair. Do you have an answer there?
I don't know. I was thinking about. I'd love to play with Jordan just to watch him be competitive and needle people and be a freak and be Jordan. I don't think I'd be able to get close with him. Maybe I could be the curly-haired guy that. I could be that.
You're really good at that.
I could be that dude to him.
Just behind the hype man in the pecking order.
Exactly. Okay. He obviously doesn't really have friends, apparently. Speaking of, I think Barkley would definitely be on there in terms of just having fun. I've had some friends run into Barkley at bars and hotels, and apparently just one of the great hangs, no surprise. So I think Barkley would definitely be up there.
Despite the plate glass window story from back in the 1990s, where some dude approached him, was probably being a belligerent a-hole, and he ends up
Milwaukee,
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine the pressure of fame. Steve Kerr might be a pretty fun hang, just to talk world events and certain leisure activities.
So you're going all basketball.
Yeah, I mean baseball players aren't fun hangs. Yeah. I think football players are fun hangs, but I can't think of. I mean, maybe Dion.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking about quality of golfer, right? So Smoltz would be fun. John Smoltz is a great golfer. Yeah. It'd be fun to talk to him about that staff that he was on, obviously. I think
you know that story of him playing with Tiger. So they used to play a lot together, and so Tiger would always beat him, and they'd play for like his per diem money, which is a couple $100. And so one time Tiger beat him, and Smoltz gave him his per diem money, and then I think like a year later, Smoltz actually beat Tiger, and Tiger paid him his winnings by just giving him the sealed envelope back that he had never opened.
Such a flex.
What a baller move.
I've just kept this.
Here's your however much money this was.
Yeah, I've kept this in my locker the entire time.
I think one of my four would have to be one of Schmaltz's teammates. That would be Chipper Jones, just to hear all the Hooter stories over 18 holes.
Well, I mean, yeah, you can go Chipper and John Daly. That whole crew could get rowdy.
Yeah.
I'd like to play with John Daly.
Yeah.
There's not many PGA guys I'd like to play with.
No, Freddie Couples maybe.
Yeah, Freddie'd be sweet.
A couple of guys on that list.
Yeah, Freddie's fun.
I'd want to get MJ and Phil Mickelson. And force them together just to see the sheer amount of gambling that would happen.
Yeah, so that would be fun as a spectator.
Max out your HELOC.
Yeah. Barkley would be fun to like hang with. Those other guys, it'd be fun to just kind of like be a fly on the wall and watch how intensely competitive and weird they are.
I'd go back, like I go to like the pro-am, like who plays at Tahoe, right? It's always fun to watch. Like I'd love to mix in a hockey player just because some of the hockey players
those guys are fun
so good at golf.
Yeah.
Like Roenick or like.
And they'll throw back 37 beers while they're doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
I ran into King Caminetti on a course once and we played the final 2 holes with him. Like he was just kind of like, yeah, you guys play it with us.
R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P. One of the greats. I mean, hitting like 350-yard drives, and this is like 30 years ago when people weren't doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I had when I was back in Oklahoma, I had a moment. I ran into like Curtis Lofton and Caleb Kelly.
Lofton was an Oklahoma guy?
Mm-hmm. Huh. Oh, and Kenneth Murray, who was at the Chargers at the time, and they were on another tee box, and I went over and just totally, I think I pulled my car over. I was leaving, and I recognized them, and I like pull over on the tee box almost in my car. I'm like, hey,
Boomer.
Love what you guys are doing. Boomer Sooner. Best of luck in the league this year, Ken. But
he probably still appreciated it.
Yeah, I said, I was like, I don't have any money to give to the program, so I know that you're not really interested in talking to me. But
every pro team has those trade regrets. For a long time, one of the Astros trade regrets was Kenny Lofton starting out in that organization and getting traded away. I don't even remember what it was for, other than them getting rid of Kenny Lofton and him becoming a complete stud.
Not as bad as the Red Sox felt for trading us.
Jeff Bagwell for John Anderson and whoever else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else we got? Oh, you got a new list out, Matthew.
Oh, I do. Speaking of greats.
Top 15
best new restaurants in Austin.
Yeah.
So that was January 24 to January 25. So if a place had opened in the last couple months, it wasn't included. I turned this in early March, and you always want to give a place a little bit of time to kind of find their sea legs.
Yep.
It's the rare business where, when they raise the curtain on Broadway, or when you go into a movie theater, or when you buy home insurance, you pay full freight, but it's one of those rare businesses where you probably either shouldn't pay full freight or you should expect that things are going to be a little wobbly possibly, or you could even expect that you might get a great experience in the first week and a bad one in the second week.
Well, I was going to say it's
just uneven.
It is very hard to play errorless baseball in those first 4 to 6 months.
Yeah, and people ask me, they're like, "Hey, have you been to such and such yet?" And I was like, "I think it opened like Tuesday, right?" And they're like, "Yeah, have you been?" And I was like, "No."
Yeah, because there's a lot of staff turnover, right? You're trying to find cultural fit with staff, and so
you know about how that all works.
Yeah, it's not easy opening a restaurant. There's so many things that you. I've got a couple moleskins just filled with notes from every night.
Why is nobody? I know the margins. They say 10% or whatever if you're running, an averagely successful restaurant. Why would if your food costs are about average and all that jazz, and your rent? Why could a restaurant not, maybe we've talked about this, in the first 2 weeks, just say everything's going to be half off because we want you to know that we're still figuring this out, and it tempers people's expectations. It makes people more gracious towards any kind of hiccups, and it makes them probably more willing to come back, and definitely is going to fill the restaurant for the first 2 weeks.
I think that, fundraising documents, business plans that I've written, it's like there's a line item for soft opening, marketing, and it's always talked about.
Yeah, because that would be a write-off.
Well, it's not even about that. It's just it's always talked about to kind of engender yourself to the new customers and make a connection. However, as I'm going to take a shot at the city, what happens is the minute you fall behind on the Gantt chart.
The Gantt? Wait, hold on a second. Ron Gantt?
Yeah, Ron
has a
Gantt.
chart?
Yeah, he's got. He actually built the Gantt chart, for
what's
project.
A Gantt?
It's project management tool, right? So it kind of it puts everything in order, and then yeah. Okay, sorry, wake up, people. So then you're paying an extra month of rent that you weren't planning on.
Right.
You're paying, you're paying extra training costs, and so all of a sudden you're like, we need full revenue. Like we can't just give it away right now because we're trying to catch up.
Right.
So it comes down to how much money you raised. Do you have enough, runway?
You should convince somebody to do it. Just one client to do it and see if it worked out for them or not.
Like I said, it's not a hard convince. It's like just raise an extra $50K and
to cover it.
And you're set. But
or do 2 less past app events where you're losing money.
But it runs counter to the fiduciary, like, hey, we really need to, it's like raising the money and having enough money to do it. So it's a tough, but
yeah, don't
right.
tell your investors, hey, and by the way, the first month, everything's half off.
Well, it just goes back to, but you're right. You want to give people the best experience. I mean, this is what's honestly, you look at that list that you put out, those 15 restaurants, it's like, a lot of them are so skilled that, they, like I said, there's always a few things early on, but a lot of these professionals really hit the ground running, and you do get, those really great experiences early. But I do think that, every diner needs to come in with a little bit of grace early on.
And to be fair, look at this. You have 15 Daymaker on my list. We can circle back, but let's just, for what we're talking about real quick. Daymaker is owned by Jack Gilmore and his partner.
That's his breakfast brunch spot.
Right. So he and Tom Cam, who's his partner in that. Busty's Bar and Jukebox. Oko. Loudmouth is from the Paperboy Group. Top Row is from Paul Key's group. Bambino is from the Loco de Oro Group. Mickleway Barbecue has already been around. So had Leroy and Lewis as trailers. And Loud Bar as a trailer. So a lot of these places already... This is a new concept, or they're already capitalized, or they're already part of a group. Number one for me, actually, so this is interesting. But as we say that, so Craft Omakase is my number one. And, I talked to those guys at some point, I think when they didn't know what I did for work. I was just a diner in there asking too many questions. But that was started by a quartet of Uchiko veterans who opened a Omakase restaurant in the old steeping room space right next to Chili's at 45th and Lamar.
Literally right down the street from Uchiko, like a block and a half away.
Like a block from Uchiko. And so they knew the business. He had, Chef Charlie had been running the Uchiko sushi bar for years. And so he understood not just management, but food costs and all of that stuff operationally. But they were, it's not like they were a super capitalized group or at other concepts. So it's interesting to hear them think about, okay, they wanted to, should we add a 13th seat in order to make, another $10,000 a month or whatever. Right. And it's, but I don't want people to be seated too close together. So these are all the kind of things that you have to consider going in. But so they weren't as well capitalized, and they didn't have previous businesses together. But, a lot of these places did. Another one that didn't, Tare, another sushi restaurant, Michael Carranza, they had run a counter operation inside Hana World Market, so they had some experience. So none of these are first-time restaurant owners, and that's probably not a coincidence.
I don't know if you mentioned Bambino, same thing, Locadoro. It takes reps, and then the subsequent concepts can be better. But then at the same time, you still have these, it's like the chef can't be at two places at once. They can't be in the kitchen every night. You've got new folks that are being trained with different skill sets. So it's a lot like the portal. You just got to find the right guy and what's your highest and best available.
So Matthew, you said that you will typically wait 6 months before really starting to judge a place. How many times?
Just 2 months.
2 months, excuse me. How many times will you go to a place before you decide, you know what, this is deserving of shout out in terms of best new restaurants in Austin?
I think you can probably just go one to make a list like that. If I'm going to do a full-on 1,000-word restaurant review, which I do fewer and fewer of, it seems, each year, and I think similarly at other publications, which is a whole nother conversation.
Is that being discouraged?
No, they're kind of letting me do what I want to do, and I'll still do about a half dozen a year, depending on, is a place, a lot of people talking about a place, so they want me to weigh in. Is it opened in a very high visibility location, like say, on Barton Springs Road or on Congress Avenue downtown, or like it had a big opening or it had a big chef come in from out of town or something like that. Or if a place is, surprisingly good and you really want people to know about it. But in terms of these, so if I'm doing that, I'll go 2 or 3 times. But on these lists, you can just go once and you get a pretty good idea. And if it's kind of in between, you'll go back and kind of make up your mind. I asked a chef recently, I texted him from a dinner I was having, and I said, how many plates do you think somebody needs to have at a restaurant to know if that restaurant is good or not? Or get a sense of what that restaurant can do? And his answer was what I thought it would be, which was 3. And, I'll obviously eat more than 3 dishes for a restaurant to make a list like this.
Sometimes, though, there's a specific dish that I'll seek out if they serve that. Like the easiest example for me is if an Italian restaurant, it's more northern Italian, they serve a cacio e pepe. I'll eat the cacio e pepe, and it'll let me know whatever else I need to order, or if I need to take the time to come back there to explore the rest of the menu.
Yeah, like there was a place I went in recently, and I was just going for a pasta because I might be working on a best pastas in Austin list, and and I didn't have high expectations, and I went in anyways, which you should always do, and I had a couple of dishes of pasta, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to come back for a full meal for consideration of best new restaurants, maybe a separate full-on review, etc. So you got to keep an open mind. You definitely can't go and just have 2 or 3 dishes and say this is one of the best restaurants in the city, but you can definitely get a sense for what someone's up to, what they're capable of. And if they can't deliver on something that they should be able to deliver on, like if I went somewhere the other night, I had 3 plates and 2 of them were incredibly sloppy, and that is not going to change. I went there last year and had some incredibly sloppy dishes, and it's like, that's just kind of what they're doing right now. And, the flavors weren't necessarily off either, but it just kind of seemed like a mess, and it wasn't edited well. And so you kind of get a sense of either where the talent level is or where the intention is or what the bar they're aiming for is, and whether it meets, what you're trying to, achieve and delivering a list to people or a review to people.
It's weird to go through that with places that have great reputations that continue to get a lot of love, but you're like, man, I've had 3 straight bad experiences at this place. I can't spend the money here anymore. And I'm not going to call a place out. It's a place that we've actually talked about in the last couple of weeks. We haven't been there.
Sorry, Sandy's.
It used to be one of our favorite places. Sorry, In-N-Out Burger. It used to be one of our favorite places, but we haven't been there in 4 or 5 years, I want to say, as a result of just 3 straight really bad experiences. And that was trying it again over the course of, I want to say, a 2 or 3 month period.
Is this an expensive place?
It's not too expensive.
I will weigh in here because
I will defend my client that you're talking about.
No, I don't know that it's a client, but
I'm sure it's not.
I think that looking at annual lists, right? I think that restaurants do tend to have kind of annual turnover, and so when I hear 4 or 5 years, that's a long time to not give somebody another shot, just because life changes, people go around, and staff changes, and then sometimes people are hearing that feedback too, and they're like, we're gonna this next spring menu or this next fall menu, we're gonna make some choices because this obviously didn't work. This isn't. It's like fitting your offensive scheme to your mobile quarterback,
right?
Like it's like, no, you're better at this than you are at this.
Yeah, and sometimes chef operators want their place to be better. They just are doing the best with what they have.
Right.
So all of a sudden they get some young person in, and they're like, wow, they're full of ideas and they're teachable.
Or they get somebody that's gone, to another city and has come back to town and they've got different skills and different, inspiration. And then all of a sudden it's like, you know what, I'm going to take this dish this direction instead of that one. So I think that, take a year off, sure. But were you talking about?
That's all right.
Every restaurant.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Every season, right? Austin has a very we are in restaurant season. It's great. There's no competition with college football. There's not. We got past spring break and South by, and it's like this is the time to go out and eat, sit on a patio. And
April, May, and October.
Yeah. And we need more. I'd love for everybody to eat more in the summer, but it does get hot and people get they're hanging out at the pool. So
and they leave town. That's the problem of in a town where it costs $1 million to own a home. If you can own a home for $1 million, you can probably go out of town for a couple of weeks in the summer. And if you're doing that during a time when your friend's not, and then they do it, like this town is half empty June through August. I mean, restaurants are not cheap, and disposable income is always hard to come by. And so, if you have it, that is the demographic that eats out more regularly, and then it's also the ones that travel. So
okay, not to bury the best new restaurants list. I think we'll get back to that next week.
Yep.
But you guys just mentioned outdoor dining, so I've got to give love to a place that is 2 of your favorite places to go with your wife on a date. We went to Lenoir for the first time last weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Sat in the wine bar. Holy freaking cow. Sorry, guys. Sorry for not listening to you and going earlier. It was such an incredible experience. The wine selection was fantastic. Started with the bottle of Lenoir, which is what the restaurant is based on, but we didn't get enough dishes, unfortunately. We got enough to be satisfied, but I want to try everything on the menu at this point. So kudos to you guys.
Wine garden is
and also to Todd.
That wine garden is such a fun hang. It's a great way to experience Lenoir. You can go inside for if you have a little bit more formal occasion, a birthday or an anniversary, but it's a sweet spot, and it's been that way since day one. Todd and Jess do such a good job.
I feel bad for them and all the other restaurants in that area right now, though, because they've decided to make all the street parking around that kind of creeps into the neighborhoods. Yeah. They've made it permit only, but there's nobody parking on the street, so all you're doing is harming the businesses in that area who rely on that street parking for a place for their customers to go, because the actual parking lots in a lot of these places is so limited. Yeah,
parking's an issue in this town. It always will be. It's like try and meet up if you're going out with another couple. Meet up. Take one car. Meet up at somebody's house. Have a pregame cocktail and then go out together or ride share. But then again, these are the things that add to the cost of a night out, right? You've
Yeah.
got babysitter, ride share, parking, or parking garage, and all of a sudden it's like, man, every time I walk out the door, it's $250 or more. All of those factors definitely weigh in on restaurants being, really having to grind to make their numbers. But less of an issue now in this time of year. Lots of great options out there, and Matthew's list is a good place to start if you want to check out some new places.
And we will continue looking at that list next week, but we are at the end of today's episode. So I started with a recommendation from my last week since we last spoke. What about you guys? Anything that you want to give some love to on the show this week, Brian?
I'm going to pivot back to date night because last Friday we did, in fact, go out with another couple to Olamay. It had been our first time in a couple years. And the fried catfish dish was amazing. Cocktails were great. Desserts were great. We had a really nice experience. Amanda Turner, the executive chef there, she has really taken that menu and made it her own, obviously, with Michael's input. And it was good to be back in their dining room. It was good to have those dishes. I had of course, we had the biscuits. We had oysters Rockefeller with, we had some caviar. It was just everything. The smoked fish dip. It was a really, really nice meal, and it was good to be back.
Shout out to Round Rock. I was in Round Rock at Saigon 512 recently, Vietnamese restaurant, and they serve at a bunch of things, but one of the things that they have there is bun cut, which obviously Vietnamese crepes are popular. So the bun cut you only can find in a couple Austin restaurants. They're these crispy little bite-sized crepes, and they're filled with shrimp and coconut milk. Wow. And they are a great way to start a meal. The pho there is really good. The noodle dishes are good. The banh mi was really good as well. So Saigon 512. If you're in the Round Rock or North Austin area, is one of the better Vietnamese restaurants in town. So check that out.
And before we leave, I gotta say a Boomer Sooner. OU Texas softball.
Oh yeah,
in
nice.
Norman. Patty Gasso's girls, number 3 versus number 4 in the country. It's going to be a great weekend to watch some softball. Do
we have any projections, any predictions, any guesses on the NFL draft? Shedeur Sanders, Quinn Ewers, or otherwise, guys?
I hear Dan Marino is supposed to go high, from what
John Elway is a very, very popular pick.
It's a good quarterback class. I think Shedeur Sanders will go after 20 is my guess on Shedeur Sanders. I don't know who the Oilers are picking.
They're going to pass on Vince Young again, I'm guessing, so they won't get my loyalty.
When you had a 6-7 football team last year, it's obvious in the draft. I think there's like 3 guys, and we're talking like second, third day.
Stutzman going to be the first Sooner picked?
Stutzman probably will be the first off the board, and looking projected around 3, and then Bowman and Ethan Downs had good combines, and then everything else will be restricted free agents.
And we think 3 Longhorns in the first round?
3 Longhorns. The guesswork at this point is which one hears his name announced first. I think people are finally swinging back to sanity with Kelvin Banks.
My guy.
We see him go top 10, and probably Jahdae Barron, and then Matthew Golden after that would be my guess.
Now, I will say, though,
if you want to see Kelvin Banks crush some barbecue, go to my Instagram at Matthew Odom. He and I hung out at Leroy and Lewis earlier this year, and dude can put it away.
I saw a great graphic, all-time NFL draft picks from every SEC school. Everybody knows who number 1 is.
The best
Alabama?
Draft pick.
Oklahoma.
Well, Oklahoma's only been in the SEC for a year, though. Are they counting
Texas
all the
is on the list, too, yes.
Okay.
So the most first-round NFL draft picks from SEC schools?
Overall NFL picks.
Oh.
Drafted.
Overall?
Yeah.
Who's had the most first-rounders?
Oh, it's got to be Bama.
It's got to be Bama.
Yeah.
But that was good. Little pride. Little make just. I mean, now
whatever you need, little boy.
Now, unfortunately, Sooners in the NFL have a terrible history of
prison sentences,
injuries.
Oh,
and that always, they not many
drug abuse.
Out. No.
Sorry.
Oh, who are you thinking of? What are you talking about?
Children?
No. Okay. Those are all the Sooners are good guys.
Texas.
Good sucks.
Bye.
And the blimp is crashing at the end of today's episode.
Well, it's always fun to see you boys.
You too.
Always a good one.
Next week.